Hi, this is Animesh. I'm a senior product manager at OYO, and this is an intro session to my workshop happening on Saturday, 28th of this month. And we are just gonna touch upon certain topics that I'm going to cover in the session. So first, talking about product management. So product management is it sits at the center of engineering, your customers, and your sales and marketing. So essentially, it's essentially a business process which consists of conducting research, strategically, driving your development, then taking your product to the market, and once it is launched in the market, you need to provide continuous support to the product and then improving the product, right? So this is a lot of people have different definitions of product management, but from my perspective, I think that product management is is just a business process, right? And at an internet company, it becomes one of the most important business process. But if you understand each steps of the process in detail and perfectly, then it's not very complex as such. I'm going to touch the myths about product management. What I have heard other people saying that product managers need a CS degree or background. While it helps, but it is not essential. There is more to product development than only coding, and there are a lot of product managers who have no coding background at all. Even at OYO, there are a lot of product managers who do not have coding background, but you still need to understand how coding and how in software development works. So that is something essential if you work at an internet company or a tech company as a product manager. But that is not something which is needed, which is essentially needed. So it might be mandatory to have a good coding background at a deep tech project at a company like Google or Facebook or a big tech company, right? But in most of the companies, this is not the case, right? Second is that product managers are the CEOs of the product. While this is somewhat true, but not completely true. And as the saying goes, that with great responsibility comes no power for product managers, because while product managers know the most about the product, but they do not have any authority, to take any action or get the work done with authority. You have to get the work done, but with influence, right? With and not authority. Third is that all the best projects are outside India. So this is not at all true. While this might have been true about 5-10 years ago, but today India is building for the world, right? Companies like OYO, which have 99% of their tech and product workforce here in India, are building for the world. So in fact, major portion of the business for OYO comes from Europe, right? And USA now, right? And there are other companies which are building in India for projects outside India, right? And even the best companies in the Silicon Valley, they have offices all across the world, including India. So there's no truth to this, right? There's no truth to saying that all good projects are based outside India. Then a product. So the fourth myth is that a product manager's job is to only launch the product. Nothing can be further from the truth. Customers tell the truth about product after it is launched, right? So while you may do user interviews, you may do everything, but the customers will tell you the truth only once they use the product in its live form, right? So therefore, it becomes very, very important for product managers to continually support the product after it is launched, and therefore track the feedback uh, and uh, and take that input and then improve the product, right? Fifth is that product management is the same at every company. No, product management is not the same at every company. At a big company like Google or Microsoft, product managers will work very, very differently from a small startup, right? At a small startup, you might be the only product manager, but at Microsoft or Google, there's an army of product managers, and therefore you might get to work on a very small aspect of a big product. But having said that, at a bigger company, the processes are set, and it is probably you get to work on more technical products and most uh, user friendly, like what users need, right? At a smaller companies, you might be working on what the company needs, but uh, but uh, but that has its own benefits, right? Because at a small company, the objective is different from what it is at a bigger company. Moving forward, we'll touch upon required skills to be a product manager. So I've broken it down into soft skills and technical skills. Talking about soft skills, you need to be good in critical thinking and analytical skills, right? So you will work with a lot of data, and therefore you need to have that ability to derive insights from the data that you have, right? Then leadership and the ability to take initiative. It's a no-brainer. Like once you become a product manager, you work with a lot of teams, and therefore you need to have that leadership abilities to drive the team together, and therefore taking initiatives also becomes very very important, right? Then you need to be flexible in your working. So a product manager cannot be rigid in his thoughts, right? In his or her thoughts, because when you solve a problem during different stages, you will get more information, and as you get more information, you would have to evolve your solution, and that may even mean after launching the product, right? So you have to be flexible. Then problem solving, this is no like this is the bread and butter for a product manager. If you have a problem, you need to understand how to reach at a solution, and in fact you need to define the problem itself properly, right? And only then you can reach to a good solution. Time management, so you will have to do a lot of meetings with a lot of stakeholders, and therefore, and you'll also have your own work, right? Writing PRDs, uh, doing user interviews, certain other aspects, right? So you will have to divide your time very systematically into different chunks to address to all the work that you have to do, right? And then communication skills, very very important. So communication skills does not mean speaking good English, but getting a thought to the other person, right? And receiving the thought from the other person, so that a good dialogue happens, and you together can reach the most effective solution, right? Then talking about technical skills, you need to understand web and app development. So if you are wanting to work in a tech company, in an internet company, then you need to understand what is app and web development, how does it work. And there is a lot of lectures, a lot of content out there which you can use, and free content which you can use to understand web and app development, and just the basics of it. You do not need to know how to do it, but you need to know how it is being done, right? And then writing technical specs and PRDs. So this is again very crucial, because uh, if you have written the PRD carefully in a good way, then the developers will have an easier life, and your vision, there are more chances that your vision comes to reality, right? Otherwise you will have a certain vision, and then if you do not write a good PRD, your user like your designers will create something else, and your developers will create something else altogether, right? So the product will be lost in translation. So therefore you need to write very very good PRDs, detailed PRDs, and we'll talk about it more in the workshop, right? Then conducting market research. So I have spoken about it earlier as well, that you need to conduct market research in the most detailed manner possible, so that you get not only quantitative data but also qualitative data, and understand you place yourself closer to your user, to your customer, so that you bring the solution that they want, instead of bringing out a solution that you might be thinking, right? Then knowledge of UX best practices. At the end of the day, user experience is what matters, right? Especially for consumer products, for products which are being used at scale, right? So you need to have good user experience design, and for that you will have to spend time with your designers, right? But in order to navigate with them, you also need to understand how user experience works, what are the best practices, what you need to have for what kind of product, right? So that is again very, very important. That's it in this video. We'll talk more about everything in detail. What I have touched in this video, I'll talk about it in detail in the workshop. And apart from that, I'll also touch upon a recruiter's perspective of a product manager. What are the industry trends? How is it changing? Where it is going to be from my perspective? Then scope of product management, career trajectories of the role, some resume and interview tips which has helped me and some other friends as well. And if there's any Q&As, we'll take those questions as well.